Warning: the following episode of That Mental Ginger Show contains strong language and adult themes.
Alright, troops.
Hello and welcome to That Mental Ginger Show with your host Andrew Durning, aka The Mental Ginger. Well, my three faithful followers, I'm very glad to have I'm not choked up by seeing her. I'm just so happy to see. I haven't seen her in so long. An amazing triple threat actor, singer, dancer, Lucy Bonner. Lucy, how are you? It has been so long.
It's been far too long,
Last time I
definitely.
saw you was 2008 in person, and it was your college dip show. And I still remember the last song that you sung. It was Another Night at Daryl's.
That is right. Oh my gosh, yeah, it was a long time. It feels like a lifetime ago. It
Yeah.
can't be that long ago though, really.
Yeah, that's the last time that I saw you. We spoke online and stuff like that, but that's the last time that I physically saw you. And I'm surprised I do remember because I was half cut when I turned up to the show.
Well, that was college days, so that's just the way it was.
Yeah, it definitely was. That was when I was slightly less professional.
Well, we all were.
We'll just dive straight in because I want everybody to know what the Lucy that I know. So I always tell my guests that I like to hear their origin story because everybody's got one. I mean, I know the gist, but Lucy, tell our audience your origin story.
Oh my goodness. Right. Okay. Well, I mean, I am only 21. Lies. So I wish. No.
That did not mean to sound condescending. It's just if I'm knowing from 2008, well, yeah, that might have gave the game away.
Exactly. No, I mean, ever since I can remember, I've always enjoyed performing, whether it was singing, dancing, all that stuff. I had, even my dad will talk about when I was younger, I'd always have to be introduced when guests were over. My name was Petite Patou. I don't know where the hell that name came from. Who knows? I don't know where that name came from. But I always used to wear like a leotard. I'd have like just everything. I would do a show, and I would even do a show based on a gran.
All right.
I used to like play this old grandmother. So I used to do really weird stuff, but from as a young kid, I loved singing, dancing, and stuff like that. But there were times where I was always very distracted. I was at like primary school. My head teacher would call me the butterfly because I'd be on one thing, then all of a sudden I'd float away and like fly away and do another thing. I couldn't really stay on the one thing. But that's it. Really, nothing much to tell there. But yeah, I've always enjoyed the arts. Let's put it that way.
Yes. Well, you definitely did enjoy the arts, at least from the very brief time that I knew you. And you went and done the acting performance side, and then you went back and you done the musical theatre side as well. Now,
that's right.
Something that I've always wanted to know, because we know Coatbridge College, we know what it was like back in the day.
Yes.
Did any lecturers have any sway on your decision to do that? Well, we're not going to name names, obviously, but they know who they are.
I mean, gosh, it's been such a long time since I've had to think about it. But yeah, I mean, I had opportunities when I left high school. I actually got an opportunity after fifth year to go to Motherwell College, and I decided at that time, do you know what? I don't feel that I'm mature enough to go. I want to enjoy high school, and it was the right decision. And then I went to Coatbridge College, and I was offered to do the HNC, but for some reason there was something in me at that time. I didn't really feel confident enough, would you believe? And I did the NQ, did that, and then I did the HNC acting performance. And yes, you're right, I did do the first musical theatre course at Coatbridge College, and it was, the lecturers just said, listen, you should do this, you've got some voice, why don't we do this? You would spend an extra year at college. But I think, and do you know what? I really wanted to do it. I thought, yep, I love singing. Singing's my passion. So let's go for it. And it was the best decision I made because when it came to the dip show, I won the Ian Bannon Award.
You did indeed. And it was well deserved. And you were in with some real cool cats in that class. I mean, you think of, you had, was it Colette, and you had Storm, Storm, Skylar, McClure. And yeah, it was, you three were kind of like the like the witch. I always used to say, like, jokingly, you were like the witches of Eastwick, because it was like nothing could seem to touch you. You were just that good.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot.
Like,
And you know what? When I was in that, because we were such a small class for first class, that we actually got on with each other really, really well. And there was so many different personalities and different types of, the levels of talent, which was a good balance. But no, like, to be honest with you, I'm a very, very tough competitor, especially against myself. And I'll always praise those who I work with or anything like that. But when it comes to anything like that, yeah, I am my own worst competitor and critic. But yeah, I did that. It was a great achievement, and it was unexpected, to be honest, but no, it was lovely. And like I say, it was such a long time ago, but it's a lovely memory and experience to have.
No, definitely. And that was where our paths kind of, like what crossed and then went separate ways. So where did you end up after Coatbridge College? This is the part that I want to know as well as our listeners.
Sure. So I took a year out. I did audition in London for a few things and got very, very close. Ooh. But the way they do it in London is that they build a cast. And by the time I auditioned a few places, it was the Royal Academy and then Mount View. It went very well, but they already had people who were very similar to me. But they were like, please come back next year. And I did. But I ended up going to the University of the West of Scotland, where I was one of the first, what would you say, first pupils, I guess, whatever, to do their musical course there as well. So it was strange how at Coatbridge College I was one of the first to do it there, and then I was first to do it at University of West of Scotland.
Yeah, didn't go all round. Was that up at the Ayr campus?
So no, it was actually based down at Maryhill. It was based, so the way they started it first, it was through, do you remember back in the day when they had Stowe College?
Yes, back in the day, indeed, yeah.
Back the day. So it was based, so the way they did it was Stowe College did their degree course based there because they had the facilities to do it there, which for me it was actually handier because it cost less than travel. So so it was good that way. But a lot of my classmates were actually from Stowe College, so they all sort of knew each other. And there was only like 2 of us that actually came out with that college from it. So there was myself and there was another girl who came from Kirkcaldy.
All right.
Yeah, which was so strange, but it was great. And it was when you do your HND, whatever, you can do a degree in like a year, even though technically it's not, it's like September to the May, so you're having to cram in all this work.
Yeah.
So I did that. It was great. And we did chess, the musical, and we did chess, and then we did like our kind of degree showcase thing. And it was a great experience again. And yeah, I think it was the same again. It was a lot of different types of levels of talent and stuff like that. But again, I was like, no, if I'm going to get a part, I'm getting that part. Work hard, but everyone was lovely, and that was it. Yeah.
So what happened after university? Because we know what from our side. I mean, I was that side that you get so far, and sometimes the passion just kind of fades off. But what encouraged you to keep going and keep pursuing the craft?
I think it was just because I felt like I've spent so much time studying. I've spent so much of my own time, money, things like that, that I was like, I'm not willing to give this up. Not that I boast about what I can do, but I know that I know I'm a good singer. Let's put it. And I know in this sort of culture, we're very like, we don't like to compliment people. We don't like to say, oh, that person's good. We always like to put people down. And I do that to myself, but it's only been the past little while I've started saying, no, I'm good at what I do. So I did that at uni, and then I did a few auditions. I did a couple of little things here and there, with little drama companies and stuff like that, which was great. And then I went on and got a lead vocalist job at Park Dean Holidays.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so I did that. I was based in Airpit, Lochray, at Tummel Valley. So I did that, and it was hard work, very hard work. I've never experienced anything like it in my life until that time.
What was it like?
It was good. I mean, it was, it was your holiday park, but you had your people that owned their holiday homes, and they had lodges, and it was quite a tight-knit community. There was only 3 of us, but I was the lead vocalist, and it was a lot of hours. You only really got 1 day off a week. And because I ended up having issues with my voice and things like that because of the conditions. So you were living in a caravan, you were working, you were doing, 2 shifts. So you're doing your day shift and then your night shift. And because you were sweating, you were playing characters, you were hosting, you were doing your shows, you were doing your own show, that I always end up with chest infections and throat, like issues with my throat. Wow. So I did that, and that was in 2012. And then in 2012, near the end of the season, I actually got invited to audition for Disney Cruise Line.
Wow.
Yeah, which was
That's
pretty
great.
cool.
Was there a specific part that you auditioned for the cruise lines, or is it just you audition and then they maybe try and see which part might be suitable for you, if that makes sense?
Well, I must have emailed a while, like ages and ages ago, and I completely forgot about it. And they emailed me saying, look, we'd like to see you, come on down to London and we'll do it. So I was down at the Disney headquarters in London, did that, quite a few people there, but what they were looking for that day was they were looking for entertainment hosts. So they're looking for more like crew staff, or they were looking for actual entertainment hosts that did a lot of, shows for the kids, hosting, working with characters, where you would end up playing lots of different characters as well, but not the Disney characters as you may necessarily know. So I went down and did that. You had to learn a few things. So I learned something from a thing called Anyone Can Cook, which is from Ratatouille. So I did that, where they were like, come up with a chef, whoever you want to be. So I came up with a chef, and my name was Petite Patou, because I thought I just came out with it. So that returned again. Did that, and we just had to do a dance thing. And then I travelled all the way back up to Pitlochry the next day, was working again, and within a week they contacted me saying, we want you. We'd like to accept you for entertainment host. And it was actually the one that I wanted, which was the entertainment host, where you play lots of different characters, you do a lot of the stuff. And I was like, great. So you have to go through a process where you have to go to the American Embassy.
Wow.
You have to, so I had to then go back to London, get my visa, where it means you can work on sea or air. It's a weird one, I know. I mean, how the hell can you work in the air? But I think you're an air stewardess.
You never know, with the way that these billionaires are going these days, you could be working in space soon.
Exactly, I know. So did that. So had to do all that with, they obviously do background checks and stuff, and was there. So I was there for quite a few hours doing all that, and then they ask you to go for a medical. So that was lovely. That was great. But in a way, I'm quite glad I'm a female, because if you're a bit more extensive, as I hear, but as a female, they can't really do it.
I once had a medical, but it was for Amazon, so it wasn't exactly the same glamour. It was like here's a cup. It was like, here's a cup. Make sure that you don't have anything in your system. I was like, wow, this to work in Livingston. Cheers.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
So they do everything like that for Disney. They check, and they just check that you're okay. And at that time, I was absolutely fine, but I had to wait quite a while. So I auditioned in I think it was like the November, and then they say sometimes you can wait up to a year until you get your actual sign on. But luckily they contacted me, I think it was the end of March, April, and they're like, yep, you're coming to the States, you're going to Disney University, stuff like that. So it was pretty cool, because originally I was going to go back to Park Dean just to do a little bit, because I didn't know what was happening, but a part of me was like, I really don't want to go back. I don't want to be living in a caravan again.
Especially like caravan, Disney school.
Yeah. I mean, how can you weigh that up? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That's a tough choice. So did you get out to Disney school essentially?
Yeah. So
what was that like? Oh, this is just so fascinating.
So I went out. I think it was, God, I'm trying to think back. This was 2013. So I went out in the May, flew out, so they pay for everything. So they pay for your flights, everything like that. So it was quite a lot of traveling. And then I was actually staying in Disney. I was staying at the All-Star Sports Resort.
Wow.
So yeah, I stayed there, and sometimes they say sometimes you can share a room with someone who's going to be going to the university with you, but they could be working at any part of the ship. They could be working in dining, anything like that. But I soon discovered that doing entertainment was quite an advantage, because when you're doing entertainment hosting, because you work in a ship, it's like certain ranks, so you could be one stripe, two, whatever. So they're like, no, Miss Bonner, you've got your own room. And I'm like, yes. So so I'm like, yes, I don't want to be sharing my room with MD. So yeah, did that. And then they were saying, so the next day they actually say to me, so you will meet some people, we're just going to show you around the place, whatever, do a couple of things. But I was the only one who was there for entertainment, so they actually sent me to their worldwide headquarters in Florida. So the reason why they sent me there was because they had to then fit me with all the costumes and measure me up for everything I was going to be wearing, like entertainment wise. So I went there.
Got to ask, what costumes did you get measured up for?
So I get measured up for, God, I'm trying to think back. Oh my God. So I get measured up for a show called Super Sloppy Science. So if you think based off, let's say one of the shows was called Where You Make Your Own Flubber.
Yes.
So yeah, so I had to get dressed up as a scientist. So they just had to fit my coat. But they're like, we're like, oh, we're not fitting you with your wig yet. I'm like, a wig? And they're like, yeah, you're going to be wearing like a neon luminous green wig. And I'm like,
wow.
Oh, okay. So they fitted me for that. They fitted me for a detective show where you have to find Captain Hook's golden hook. Yeah, so there was lots of things they fitted me for. Anyone can cook, because there was two sides to where I was working. So there was either the Oceaneers Lab or the Oceaneers Club. I'm doing the Disney point. Sorry, I just realised.
It's like the exits are here.
Here, because if you do that, that's supposed to be rude. So they want you to do the Mickey point. So I don't know if you ever.
I did not know that. We learn something new every day.
So now that I was talking about Disney, I've just automatically did that, and I didn't realise. So yeah, they fitted me for that. They fitted me as a pirate as well. So I had a pirate's costume, which was pretty cool. What else? God, there was so many. Loads. There was there were so many to think of. And like I say, I was in my own room. There were all these seamstresses were coming in. They were all coming in. They were saying, right, we're just going to fit you up now. And I was there for hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot. But when you go in, you realise, like, oh my God. So there was a lot of things that I did see that I'm not going to say, even though I don't work for the company. I'm not going to say, because I'd be giving away the magic of Disney. But yeah, I saw a few and thought, oh, right, that's where he is. But anyway, never mind. What they do is they actually facilitate all the Disney parks and everything all around the world. So you've got Tokyo, you've got Paris, everything like that. So they've got all the things there for those places. So it was pretty cool. But I was there all day, but it was great. I got chauffeured around, and it was pretty cool. But by the end of the day, I went back and I met a couple of people that were actually going to be working within those spaces, but not as an entertainment host. And you can go to the parks for free. When you work for Disney, you get your cards and stuff like that, and you can go for free. So they were there all day, not having to do a single thing, and I was still jet lagged because they were from the States. So I went to the Kingdom for like an hour, and I was like, guys, nah, like I don't want any Dole Whip or nothing. I want to just go back and chill. So did that, and then it wasn't until the next day we went to Disney University, and it was a lot of fun. It was great.
Wow. Yeah. How long were you in the university for?
1 day.
For an intensive course. What, man? Yeah. I mean, even driving lessons give you a little bit of a break.
I know, yeah. Well, it was only 1 day, but it was fun, and we got to meet a lot of other people who were going to be boarding because it was a Disney Dream that I joined. Yeah. So I joined that one, and we met lots of people. So it meant when we went on, we knew some people and things like that, which was quite nice, and from different departments. But it was great. And then Mickey Mouse came in. I've got some photos where he gave me a kiss and everything like that. Stuff like that. And even at the age I'm like, it doesn't matter. And I know that I've seen things at Disney and and things, but the magic is still never away from me. So it was great. And then the next day, and we got picked up at the hotel at 4:30 in the morning.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was a lot, and then we went to the ship, and yeah, it was great. It was a lot though. You're basically put in away. You don't really have time to sort of decompress or anything like that. And then the first 2 weeks you do a lot of safety training. You're not really in your job properly until after you do everything. So we're on the ship. It was a lot. You get fitted for your kind of officer's outfit for day and then night, or whatever you wear. Did that, and I would watch some shows because I had scripts to learn. Now the binder I had probably about that thick. It was massive. But the good thing about it was that when we went there was some shows that were scripted, but a lot of it was more guidelines. So as long as you went with the guidelines, they didn't really care what you did. So I was like, is that a good idea for someone like me? But it was good. So it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. How long were you on the ship for?
I was on, so your contract usually is about 4.5 to 5 months. So it's a long time, and you don't get a day off. So you do work every single day. You can work up to 70 hours a week. It's a lot. I remember there was one day where I did about 8 shows in one day. So I was, pretty exhausted, because you do learn everything. You don't realise the pace of everything that you learn things so quickly, because you don't really have a time to have a break, if you know what I mean. Even though when you finish your shift, you could go and see some friends, you could go to the crew bar if you wanted, which was a very regular occurrence. It was great. But sadly, my first contract, I ended up with actually really severe injuries on both my feet.
Oh geez.
And they soon realised it was because I was working on the steel.
Yeah.
So there was times I was waking up in the morning and I couldn't even get up and stuff. So the thing about Disney is that they were great, is that they pay for your medical or anything like that, whether you're on the ship or off the ship. So they actually sent me off ship to get my feet checked, and they were like, listen, you need to get your feet properly healed, and because if you don't, it's just going to get worse. So I basically had a full cruise where I didn't need to work, which was great, but I was hobbling around, and that was it. And then everyone was so lovely. They were so sad to see me go, but I was like, look, I'll be back, but I don't know whether it was going to be the Dream or anywhere else. So I went home, I got private medical, which was great. They paid for the full thing. I was still actually getting paid slightly, but actually compared to what you get paid here, I was getting paid quite good money. Nice. And I was off from the September right up until about the April. So I was off, and they realised it was like bone spurs and plantar fasciitis that I had in my feet, but it was really, really bad. So I got like shockwave treatment, like they paid for it all. Like it was unbelievable. And then I got to a point where I was like, right, I feel like I could go back, and I get cleared. And within about a week, they were like, oh, we want you back now. I'm like, right, okay, because that's quite unheard of. Yeah. So I went back, and it was a Dream, but this time I was working on the other side. So the first side was the lab, and then the other side was the club, which I'd never worked in. So I thought, right, this is cool. I was a bit nervous, but it was cool. So this time when I went back, I had to get fitted on the ship for my costumes. And this time I was I was friends. They say friends. So I was friends with Corporal Green from Toy Story.
Oh, nice.
It was I loved it, but it was a lot of work. So I had to basically, I've got photos of that. I had to basically paint my full face green. You wear aviator glasses to cover your eyes. You have to move around like a toy, so you have to do certain things with your body.
Yeah.
So
you do like do the thing where if somebody shouted Andy's coming, you had to freeze?
Yeah, sort of, but it wasn't like what they say when if you're on the ship, or like if if Woody or MD was walking around that like Andy's coming, they wouldn't just be like they wouldn't just deck it to the ground. You know what I mean? But not, to be honest with you, no one actually did that. Yeah. And I think it's because they knew, because when you were doing those shows, it was like youth counsellors who would be there. And because, of course, they knew who I was, and they knew that excuse my French, I wouldn't take any shit because I was Scottish and I was just no for having it. Yeah. I think they knew.
Don't worry about swearing, just fire away.
But no one, like, I don't ever remember anyone doing that, which was, I don't remember that. But so I did that one. Who else? I did a lot of pirate shows in that side. So I had 3 different pirates. so I had 3 totally different pirate characters for different shows that I was doing. So one was like a Captain Sadie, which was a bit more she was a bit more kind of regal, kind of like, you know, she didn't take any shit. She had a crush on Captain Hook, but he was a bit of a prick.
No, if you only have one hand and it was eaten by a crocodile.
Oh yeah, I mean, but hey, you know, I mean, we're saying. I've
missed you so much, Lucy. I really have. I've missed your humour.
Inappropriate I can be. You know how inappropriate I can be, and I'm not doing it.
Yeah, if you knew me when I was quiet, you don't know the me that I've turned into. So yeah.
Well.
So how many years did you do the cruises? What?
So
No, you know what? Screw it. We're gonna keep going. I'll pay the extra so I can hear more of these stories. I don't care. We'll do a feature length. Why not?
We can come back on if you want.
Oh, there'll probably be like a second part. This is gonna sound inappropriate, but yeah, Boner 2, the return.
Oh well, yeah.
Oh, your agent is absolutely gonna kill me. I'm so sorry.
Oh, don't be that.
You're the only guest who's actually had to clear it with their agent to come on to this, and I'm like, do you actually think I'm bigger than I really am? I'm sitting in my dining room while praying my kids don't wake up.
Do you know what it is? It wasn't necessarily that I had to clear it. It was just because if I mention who represents me in some of the work that I do, it's only fair. Hey, listen, I'm okay to mention you, but if I wasn't mentioning them, I'd still would have came on. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
I'm really glad you came on. This is brilliant. It's just like catching up with an old friend, which is basically what it is. Except I put it on YouTube and then everybody else can hear it. Well, so how long were you on the cruises?
So I finished in the January 2015. So I did 3 contracts. Wow. My last contract was very, very short. Very short indeed, yeah. But it was just such a good laugh, and I really enjoyed it. And I loved working with everybody. It was hard to leave. I would say, mentally, the whole thing. Now, when I think about it, at the time, I enjoyed it, but there was parts of it that did sort of maybe affect me afterwards, because not that I'm being horrible, but it's what you make of it. You're either going to love it or you're going to hate it. It's like Marmite. You're either going to love it or hate it. And it's what you make of it. And I definitely did enjoy it, but there were certain parts of it, because the best way to put it's like Big Brother. You're constantly watched.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a bad way, but you're on a cruise ship. There are cameras everywhere, and there's, you know, rules and things that you have to sort of abide by, and you are only safe out at sea. I mean, to be honest with you, half the time I didn't, whatever. But yeah, but I did enjoy it. But if I was asked would I go back now, nah, definitely not. I would love to go back and cruise and see my friends, because I still have a lot of friends that work at Disney. Yeah. But yeah, not for me now. You know, I've got my family. I've got a wee girl now. I've got my home and everything like that. But
yeah, how old's your wee girl now?
She will be 5 in December.
Oh yeah, and she's prime Disney age as well. Imagine like she'll be going around telling everybody like my mummy was like a Disney princess. What? And then you go, though. Actually, I was a soldier with bright green paint, and
yeah.
I played awesome would that be? Like your daughter will be so proud of you.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, I loved it. Like, even when I was on the ship, and I even mentioned like some of the shows where I was doing the science, you know, person. Yeah. I had to be trained in working with liquid nitrogen and stuff like that. So it was stuff like that. It was so cool. And God, there's just so many things that I can't even think of. Like, just so many. I worked with the princesses. I worked with Stitch, who I loved. Stitch was amazing.
Oh, wow.
Amazing. I was very fortunate that I got to work with a lot of people. A lot of the characters. Actually, I will say something. I actually loved Captain Hook.
Yeah.
Loved him. Loved him. And of course, I know people who are friends with these said characters, and it made it even better. Loved Goofy. I just loved them all. It was great. And even now, none of that, like I say, none of the magic is away. But it was an experience, and it's an experience I'll always cherish. My little girl, she knows all the Disney characters. I have an album as well where I've got a lot of things that I've collected over my time. When you used to leave contracts, you know, people would write in books, would make up these books and actually write all these messages. So I've got messages from all these people I got to know from all over the world, and I'm still friends with people from all over the world. And that was the thing from it. The most amazing thing from it is the people that I met. So definitely, it was great. So it was good.
I've got to ask, like, how did you go about getting an agent? What, did they scout you out? Did you scout them out? I mean, I've never had an agent in my puff, so I have no clue about how that works. How did that come about?
So so basically the agency I'm with is MK Entertainment's
Mm.
agency. And weirdly enough, I actually met Mark, who's one of the guys who owns it, who works for it, does everything like that. He does a lot of cabarets and gigs as well. And I actually met him when I worked at Park Dean. So
All
I met
right.
him. So I met him all the way back in 2012. And there was a couple of times that, listen, just let me know when you're ready. Give us a shout. We'd love to take you on, stuff like that. And there was times on and off in the years I was like, right, okay, but something was always happening. Something would either stop it, life takes over, you know yourself, life ends up taking over, or I was away doing something else, or there was just things I wasn't ready, basically.
Mm.
And then I started doing gigs again before COVID.
Mm.
And COVID happened, and I was like, right, okay, that's fine. And then it was only until recently, I would only say in the past couple of months, I was like, right, that's it. I'm doing it now. I've got my own PA equipment, stuff like that. I invested a lot of money in that I saved from the gigs I did last year.
Mm.
So I was starting to get bookings myself, which was great. But then I thought, no, like, I think it'd be good to take up the offer with MK, who are basically like the biggest in Scotland and UK. They basically, they have a lot of people on their books that, you know, quite a lot of famous people and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And I just contacted Mark and I said, listen, I'm ready. And that was, the case was just like, right, cool, let's do it then. That was it. I didn't even need to do anything. It was brilliant. And they've been great. Like, I would say, you know, it's nearly at least 2 or 3 times a week where they're in contact with me saying, you want to do this, you want to do that. And I'm like, sure. But see, at the moment, like, a lot of the stuff that I've got right until the end of the year, I've got myself.
Mm.
Or came to me. So I'm not actually, so I'm like, right, okay, I'm actually doing my first gig for them next week, next
Yeah.
Friday, because everything I've got hasn't been through them yet. And they're like, God's sake, come on, man. I'm like, I know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
You
But
think about going on like the books and you could be an agent? Like, you're very good at like scouting opportunities.
I know, do you know what? Maybe in later years I could, but I think right now, I really want to go out myself and do it, because in my everyday job, would you believe I work for Specsavers? complete opposite to performing
Yeah.
arts.
Yeah,
I work,
you find that, don't you? Like, you just go, right, this is my hustle that I like to do, but this has got to keep the roof over the head and keep my kids fed.
and do you know what? I'll tell you something. I'm very grateful for the fact that, especially with COVID, that I was in a position where I actually had a job, because I know so many people, and you probably the same, you know, so many people who basically shut down. They had nothing. They had absolutely nothing. They couldn't do gigs. They couldn't do anything. Okay, fair enough. I was in furlough like a lot of other millions of people around the world, in the UK especially. I was in furlough for a bit, but I knew I had a job. I knew I had, you know, a certain amount of money coming in per month. Whereas
How
with
long were you on
doing,
furlough for?
oh God, I was in furlough from the March time when it started
Yeah,
until
March 23rd was when we went into lockdown. But
so
I had 3 weeks and then I was back in.
oh, were you?
Yeah, because I'm in, well, I can't say where I was, but it's a certain sector that a lot of people like to bash. We'll just put it that way. But yeah,
Right.
after 3 weeks, it was like,
Tell
right,
me off.
you're back in.
But yeah, so I was off for quite a bit from the March until the June. But I'm going to tell you something. I know it's been such a hard time for everybody, and there's been a lot of things, and it's been, you know, a tragedy, the amount of lives that have been lost and how it's affected people. But for me, like, I don't know what it was, but something with me clicked. I was quite overweight. I got a bit overweight. I mean, I know that I've always been quite curvy, things like that. Nothing wrong with that. It's great.
Nothing
But
wrong with
I
that
got,
at all.
oh,
Do not
but
diss it.
I got to the point where when I had Layla, my wee girl, I ended up with quite bad postnatal depression, and I ended up putting a lot more weight on. And then for some reason during COVID, one night I was walking up my stairs and I heard my knees crunch. I went, excuse my French again, I thought, fuck this. And for some reason, something clicked, because I'd tried so many things over the years. It just clicked.
This is going to be the inappropriate joke to take attention out. Are you sure it wasn't your knees?
Well, I mean,
I've got the classic dad bod. I'm there.
nothing wrong with the dad bod, man. Nothing wrong with
Nothing
that.
wrong with it at all. What I just say it's just more to grab onto.
Well, that's it. That's it. But like for me, I actually spent, I think it was like the end of April into May. I thought, nah, that's it. And it was good for me and my little girl. The weather was great and stuff, so I was going out a lot, walking. I really cut down the food, stuff like that. And then I lost 5 stone by the
Wow,
end of the year.
congratulations. That's
Yeah,
absolutely brilliant. Well
yeah,
done,
so I lost.
you. Don't get me
So
wrong, like, I've always thought you were beautiful no matter what size you wear, but like, for you, like, that's a brilliant achievement. Well done. I'm so proud of you, I really am.
cute.
So what do you think the future holds for Lucy Boner? Like, aside from, Boner 2, the return, when you come back on the podcast?
Well, I'd love to come back on. I actually didn't realise how much there was to talk about.
Yeah, well, near to that. Well, I'm just looking at the timer. I'm like, man, this time is flying. That's what happens when you catch up with an old friend, isn't it? Well, like 30 minutes turns into like 3 seconds, doesn't it?
Well, that's it. I know, definitely. Well, what's happening next? So, like I say, it's been a very quick turnaround for me, getting a lot of gigs and bookings and stuff like that. And it's been great. And it's just a work in progress at the moment, but I'm enjoying it. And do you know what? It's so nice earning money again and something you enjoy doing.
Mm.
It
Well,
is.
I wish I could say the same, but yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can
who
say
knows?
that because
Maybe if this takes off, like, we'll see how it's going. It's the attention that it's got so far is pretty good.
exactly.
But you did obviously you mentioned that you did go through like postnatal, and I'm really sorry to hear that. I had like the dad's perspective of it with the postnatal after my kids were born. So, but for a mother, what would you say what it was like for you going through that? I mean, because obviously I'm from the dad's side. I just felt completely useless. I felt like I wasn't going to be a good dad. Like, sometimes I still feel like that, in all honesty. But well, you just never felt. I never felt like I was good enough, or I was ever going to be good enough. But what was it like from your side, like from a mum's perspective?
God, do you know what? Like, I'll be honest, throughout the years and that, even before Layla, I had sort of, things with sort of my mental health, but, you get through it or you do whatever. But when I had Layla and I had that, it was just like, do you know what? It's so hard to describe, but I felt like it was a constant weight that was upon me. I felt as if I was weighted. There was a couple of times I'm like, there was just times I'm like, I can't do this. But then there was a part I was very overprotective. All those times where I couldn't even deal with it. It was so odd, but it wasn't really until she was about 3 months and I was down in Leeds with my family for a birthday thing. And they were like, are you okay? I'm like, and I just felt like going like, nah, I can't do this. Even though I wanted to do it. Do you know what? It's conflicting. You want to do the right thing, but at the same time, you feel like you can't or you don't want to.
You have to be strong.
Yeah, like it's the most conflicting thing. It's horrible. And I'll admit, like, obviously over time and that I got better and I went to see my GP and they were great. And for me, what really does work is actually talking about it, to be honest with you, is talking about it. So doing that and just having a very supportive family network, which was great, and mother half as well. But I'm going to be honest with you, even up to now, there are times where I still sort of feel that same way. But it's not as heavy as what it was. But there are times where I'm like, I can't be bored. I just want to sleep. Things like that. And
I would be like you can deal with it like a little bit better than obviously what you did when you became a new mum.
Yeah, oh no, definitely, because it's just with experience. It's, you'll know yourself having kids, the older they get, certain things start to get easier because they become independent, but then they can talk and chat back to you and stuff like that. And you're just, do you know what I mean? So it's stuff like that, you don't realise that when they're wee babies, you're like, oh my God, it's hard. But see, when I look back now, I think that actually wasn't that bad. Each stage is slightly.
I think that comes with being a mum, because like from being the dad side of it, I look back at it and I go, that was fucking murder. Like the newborn stage. Oh my God. Like Alison, I always say that she's the man in the relationship. She's got more balls than I'll ever have. She's absolutely amazing. I love her more than anything. Like she's brilliant. And she basically held her family together when I couldn't hold myself together. But it was one of those ones. She looks back and she's like, "Oh, it wasn't that bad." And I look at her sometimes going, the fuck life did you live with these two?
Oh,
Jesus
I know.
Christ, they were a nightmare. But
I know.
they're fantastic. But
I
they're
do it.
fantastic boys, and I love them to death, obviously. But yeah, so we'll go with you probably answered the final question, but I'll just say it for the listeners.
Cool.
If you could give one piece of advice to anybody that's struggling with mental health issues, what would that piece of advice be, and why would you choose it?
God, right, okay. The one piece of advice that I would give, and to be honest with you, you know, sometimes you're that way that you can give the advice, but you never actually take it yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope when I say this, that maybe I can actually take this advice myself, actually. Yeah, definitely. Because even recently, I'll be honest with you, recently I've had bouts of extreme anxiety and stuff like that. And I'm only now feeling a wee bit more okay. So I'm going to be honest, I'm always going to be transparent. And if it's going to help someone else, then yeah. But one thing I would say is that one piece of advice is that in the moment, it does feel horrible in the moment, but it does get better. Just trust and believe it does get better. Don't give in. And do you know what? This is something that I need to take this on myself, by the way. Geez, all right. But I would say, you know, that way when you do have really bad anxiety or anything like that, the smallest thing can be so heightened. Like it could be the most stupid, ridiculous thing. And when you're feeling okay, you can take that on head on and deal with it. Whereas, yeah, I would say that is like, try and not listen to those inner demons. Don't be your own saboteur. And just take that extra second to think, or don't even think, just sit down and chill.
Yeah.
It might not be the best advice, but that is maybe advice I need to take.
That's good advice. Like, trust me, like, there's a lot of people that they just sit and they don't have a clue what to say. Like, that was very eloquent. Like, I wouldn't expect anything less from you, Lucy.
Eloquent. So
yeah, there's a slight twang there. But so we'll go into the final section, which is Ask Andrew Anything. For the regular listeners, that is where, after grilling my guests for so long, that they get a chance to put the shoe on the other foot and ask me a question. I have to be 100% honest, and it doesn't matter what the question is. So, Lucy, do you have a question that you would like to ask me?
A question, right? This is just spur of the moment.
Fire away, they're the best kind.
Think, and you've maybe been asked this. I don't know, but what made you want to do this type of podcast? Like, what gave you the inspiration or whatever? What made you want to do it, especially based around sort of like the arts and mental health?
Good question. Well, it has been asked in our episode, but I don't mind saying it because it helps me refine it. Doing the podcast itself was just we were in lockdown, everybody and their granny was doing it, why not give it a go? And I just dicked around with it for a year, messed about, tried different things because I had no clue what I wanted to do. Most of it was just me talking a load of bollocks.
Right.
And I took a wee break from it after my aunt died. Like, she caught COVID in the hospital and sadly passed away because she took a stroke, went in the hospital, got COVID, never came out.
Right, okay.
And then I took not well as well. I had a really bad mental breakdown. And I just started thinking about things about kind of life and, you know, all the stuff that you think about when you're in that headspace. And I just thought, what am I going to do?
Yeah.
And I was doing the different projects. I was doing like the Flower of Scotland cover, and I was doing doing my parody albums to raise money for like mental health charities and stuff. And I just started thinking, right, the guests I've had on the podcast, in the kind of year-long pilot, as I called it, were all people that I know from performing, where they were like actors, singers, comedians, whatever. It's anybody involved in the performing arts. So that's my skill set. That's my wheelhouse. That's where I can talk about things that I don't sound like I'm a total noob. I know what I'm talking about, and I'm pretty good at talking about it. And then I thought, I feel that same passion about mental health. Okay. And a lot of the time, both of those things, for me anyway, performing was a way of encouraging my positive mental health, because I never had a high opinion of myself, and I never have. But when I'm doing something like this, I'm on top of the world, and I feel like I'm the best guy out there, and I'm the best version of myself that I want to be for my family. Nice. I thought, I can't be the only one that's feeling like this. Let's So let's try it. We'll try a couple of episodes, see how the experiment goes. Well, and I was building up contacts through doing the Ouija Warrior stuff, and I just said, this is what I'm planning on doing. Anybody interested? And there's just been a flood of people that have wanted to do it and wanting to be involved. And I'm like, wow, this is, I'm clearly onto something here. So let's go for it. So that's kind of the answer. Well, I just took a wee bit of reflection. Well, probably for the first time in my entire adult life. Probably didn't even think that much about having kids. Yeah.
Tell me about it. Yeah. Tell me about it. I know.
The only thing I ever thought about having kids was, oh God, I'm going to be a rubbish father. Well, that was the only thing I ever thought about until I went, well, we'll try and we'll see. It could maybe take 3-4 years. 3 months later, yeah, she's pregnant with twins, and what I can actually say legitimately that it's my fault. It is actually medically my fault because the boys are identical, and identical twins happen when, and sorry for anybody, this is a wee bit of a biology lesson. Identical twins come from when my guy splits the egg in half. Fraternal is when, you get two guys that go to both eggs.
Yeah.
So I literally caused the problem of we're having twins. So Alison has the permanent excuse to blame me for the rest of her life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's why I never was able to get any muscle tone, because my boys were fucking Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone.
No, come on.
Yeah. Pardon my French, but when my dad told me to split her in half, he didn't mean the fucking embryo.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and you thought you were bad.
Oh Lord in heaven. I know, I'm behaving.
Yeah. Well, Lizzie, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on. I've missed you so much. You're just a lovely, bubbly, positive ray of sunshine. And I know you've had your wee demons to go through like everybody else has, but I'm so glad that you're getting back onto form. And I really want you to come back on and we can pick up.
Oh, definitely. Let's do it.
Yep.
I'm up for it.
1 or 2 of the sequel. It is coming.
Runners, man.
That was actually the worst title to say. 1 or 2 of the sequel. It's coming. Jesus Christ. I'm in this podcast now. Jesus, man. I'm so sorry.
Like, it's fine, man. I don't care. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh man, I'm gonna get cancelled in about 7 episodes anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Oh, fuck it. Just rebrand it.
Aye, why not?
Or whatever.
Yeah, the fuck it podcast. There we go. Listen,
fuck it. That's it.
Yeah. Well, to everybody that has listened, you've listened to the lovely, talented, beautiful Lucy Borer, and me.
So lovely too.
Yeah. Thank you very much. You flatter me. You always did. So until next time, my 3 faithful followers, take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.